Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of On Campus. My name is Nathaniel Thomas, coming from the Solano College Sports Network TV studio. I'm joined by my fellow broadcasters, Mr. Show and Go, Mason Flores, and Brooklyn Gonzales. How you both
Sir,
doing today?
I'm good. I'm good.
Very good.
Yeah, I can't believe the year's coming to an end.
I know.
Mace, this is your second semester doing
Yes,
this.
it is.
Brooklyn, this is your first,
Mhm.
ladies first. How would you say this semester's been for you? I mean, just going onto the field with no experience, and now we're in May, and you have a lot of hours under your belt.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Honestly, like I look back at it and I'm like, how did this happen? Like I was just thrown into it and did it,
Yep.
and I loved every minute of it. So yeah, I'm really grateful, and I feel like this is just an experience that I can't really get anywhere else, and POF has made it known that you can't get it anywhere else. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Mace? I mean, second semester now.
Nah, it's been crazy from day one, really. I say it all the time, but like, really, like the tone was set the first day. Like
Hmm.
when
Right.
I came in, it was just like I didn't know anybody. Um, he Pop brought us into the room and had everybody take down the stuff, and it looked really complicated, and then we had to do it, and I wasn't really good at it. But
Hmm.
and then the same day, it was like I was still outgoing, and Pop asked like who wanted to do broadcasting, and I was like, oh yeah, me for sure. And it's just been crazy from there. And then just going to football, I got to do that. Like basically, my first time was like the first game or something like that, and I didn't do good. Like I didn't do good for my standard now. Um, but Pop still said I did good for my first time. So it was really just like, wow, I just did something that I would have never thought I got to do. So that's really what this program has been for me. Like
Yeah,
doing things I never could have dreamed of being able to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that honestly, Mace, that's something that really impresses me about you. Is when you came in, obviously none of us like really knew what we were getting into. We're at the start, but Mace, like something that you've been able to do really well is just step up to the occasion, step up to the plate, and swing at it either way. Brooklyn, one thing. I mean, I know you said it yourself, you're just thrown into the fire. But when I'm sure when you look back on some of the footage that you've captured, you may think, "Oh, I could have done this or I could have done that better." But that's just because you're watching yourself. Anyone else who watches, they're gonna think, "Oh, that's a natural in front of the camera." So, no, it's that. What are some of your favorite memories from this year?
I would say probably just baseball in general. Like even the things that are like off camera just were so fun. I don't know. Every minute of it was just such a fun environment, hanging out with everybody. Like people always say like find a job that doesn't feel like work. And if that could be my job, I would not complain a day because it was just like 4 hours, I don't know, sometimes more of just like
Yeah.
hanging out, but also like getting things done. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think about a specific moment though.
I got a few. I got a few.
I'm sure you got stories for days. Give us your top two.
Okay, so my top two, number one, probably so it was the last football game I think we did ever.
Hmm.
And it was a Rodriguez home playoff game. I think it was their first since 2012. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, it was their first playoff game in years, and their starting quarterback was hurt. He had a torn ACL. Dylan Burke. Hope you're good. And Rodriguez was up. I think they were playing a team from Sacramento. Rodriguez was up for like the whole game. They were up by three possessions with like 2 minutes to go
Hmm.
in the game,
Hmm.
and the team scores one time. They get a stop, and there's like 30 seconds left, or like a minute left
Hmm.
in the game. They score really quickly, and then they get the onside kick to get the ball right back. And there's like 30 seconds left, and they scored to tie the game, go into overtime. Um, and but the last play that they used to score to take it to overtime was the Philly special. Um,
So for those of us who don't
the
understand the
Philly
playmakers,
special is like the quarterback like goes in and acts like they're talking to the line, right? And then the receiver motions in from the left and they come around like this
uh-huh.
and the ball is snapped to them. They get it and then they go and pass it to the quarterback because they're going to be open. And that's what happened. And that's how they tie the game. And Me, Drew, and Holden were going crazy on the call. We were like, "Oh my God, they just tied the game," and
Classic.
that was and the crowd was crazy because we're on the away side and they've been mad the whole game. They were like, "Oh man, we just terrible. These refs are terrible." The refs weren't that good that day, but like then they literally like it completely switched. Rodriguez was quiet, silent, and our side was going crazy, and then. Um, Rodriguez found out a way to win in the overtime. And then my second favorite moment was probably basketball when the last game. Um, it was just a crazy game. It was the last game of the season. Solano didn't have that great of a season, and Justice Wilson had probably the game of his life. He dropped 50, and
It's
he
great.
took it to overtime, and it was just like what a year. I could name five more things, but yeah.
Yeah,
What about you, Nathan? What was your favorite moment so far?
I have two of them.
Okay.
I remember the start of baseball season. We were covering the non-conference games, and it was like, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever, we're here, we're just learning how to get set up. But then I remember that first conference game when
we
you were
like.
set to be the field reporter, and we are like doing all of our prep, like, oh, it's gonna be a good game, the ace versus ace and all this stuff. And then Solano just gets like annihilated. And then we're like, oh, that's baseball for you. Don't
Yeah,
expect anything.
like we were ready to lock in.
Yeah, and then
It was
by
good
like
to start too, and then
yeah,
just
I mean, we were great the first like three innings, and then there was just like no heart after, because like it's hard to get excited
Yeah.
for a game that's, it's just not there,
yeah.
right? But then I remember there's one game where we're like, all right, well, it's just another game. It's yeah, but let's do this, let's do that, and then all of a sudden, Eli Burton comes out and he pitches a gem, and the Solano Falcons win. I forget who they're playing. But I was just telling Brooklyn, who was covering baseball for the first time, like this, you can't expect anything to
Yeah,
happen with baseball,
yeah,
and that's what I think I loved about baseball, and that's really what I try to convey when I broadcast is baseball is literally just chaos within 90 degrees,
yep,
and can't really expect anything to happen except anything, and I just love that. I loved, I loved having Mitchell in the booth that first game, because he was like, so how does a player get to first base? And I was like, well, they can get hit by a pitch, they can get a hit, they can get walked.
Shout out to Mitchell, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, and,
yeah,
and now and that was the first day, and then now Mitchell, he was getting like really good shots over on the first base side,
Yeah,
and so I think my favorite memory is just as much as you or Mitchell or anyone else maybe have learned baseball. I mean, even I, who I've been doing this game my whole life, I still learned a lot this season.
mm-hmm,
Things that I never thought I could learn about the
mm,
game, explaining it to people, and when I was growing up playing the game, obviously I know how to play the game, but um, I really loved articulating the game and
right,
being able to put words to the things that were just body instincts to me growing
right,
up,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
was stuff. But it was a long answer. I
I
guess I
think
gave you some time. What about you, Brooklyn? What were some of your favorites? And then we'll get to you, Miss.
yeah.
Um, man, gosh, I can't think of a specific moment.
Nah, there's one.
What?
I'm not
What?
saying it.
Tell
I'm
me.
not.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not
Well,
What?
what
saying
were
it.
you gonna say, Mace? What were you gonna say?
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
something that I learned, like, yeah, I think I'll take this for the rest of my life, and even if I don't do the sports broadcasting thing, but something that I'll always remember is like I wasn't that knowledgeable of the game of baseball until like until I started having to broadcast it, and like when you would tell me things of like the culture of baseball on the broadcast, and I'm learning the game as I'm going, I'm just thinking like we could be someone's first impression of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's how I'm going to broadcast games for the rest of my life or just how I explain things, because that could be someone's first game
Mm-hmm.
and you have to paint the picture for someone who's never even known anything about baseball or basketball or football or any other sport that you're covering. And I think that's what I really took because I wasn't the big baseball. I'm always like, oh, gotta do a 6 hour thing. It's from 12 to 6, man. I don't know if I
Yeah,
can
it
do it.
took a
It is a grind.
long time
And
out of
then,
our
but
day.
I've taken. I think I've had the most fun doing it,
Yeah,
like because of like what I've learned outside of just the broadcasting aspect, but learning the game
yeah.
and knowing that yeah, this kid can learn the whole game from me in just this one game, and they could be a pro someday because of me. You know what I mean? So I think that's how I'm gonna continue to broadcast because people like you are really good at painting the picture
Mhm.
and making people be able to understand that. And Nathan, I know you had experience covering games before this class, and even though we came in at the same time in this class, I feel like you were really a mentor for me. Like when it came to like
Oh yeah.
things for football and just being at where how you present yourself in terms of being professional when it matters, being friendly always doesn't matter what's going on, how mad you can get, and keeping that chemistry up. I
Mm.
feel like because you were learning the game of football and you would ask me questions
Oh
and
yeah.
I was teaching and I was telling you stuff, and I feel like that dynamic really helps both of us in becoming better for ourselves. So Nathan, I want to ask you, how has this class impacted you as a person and impacted how you're going to broadcast for the rest of your life?
Yeah, dude. I always blush with the praise that you give. You know, I love the point that you brought up about um this could be someone's first impression,
Yeah,
and I when we were broadcasting for Solano, Prof was always emphasizing, know
yeah,
your audience, and who's watching this? This isn't a national broadcast where,
Right.
it's on TV in sports bars. Who's watching is the kid's grandparents, or,
yeah.
like maybe the kid's girlfriend who doesn't understand
Yeah.
baseball, or something, and so one piece of advice that I take to heart is, well, when I transitioned careers and decided that this is what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of obviously my childhood heroes, and they're still around, thank goodness. Kruk and Kuip of the San Francisco Giants. They said when you broadcast, uh, don't imagine you're speaking to a room or to hundreds or thousands of millions of people. Just imagine you're talking to one person, just one
Mm.
person, and that's how I try to broadcast. I'm trying to broadcast it like I'm just having a conversation with one person, somebody's grandma, somebody's uninformed girlfriend, somebody's, a fan for the first time,
Yeah.
maybe a faculty member who's never watched
Or
baseball,
like a little
right?
brother, because
Or a little brother.
your grandma, you're with your grandma, and your big brother's playing the game, and your grandma got the game on, and you don't know a single lick of baseball, and you just
Yeah,
learn
yeah,
from there. It's just
yeah.
crazy.
And so that's what I try to emulate is they said just imagine you're talking to one person. And Kruk and Kuip, they don't even take credit for that piece of advice. They got it from Harry Carey, who was the broadcaster of the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah,
I think from like the 80s, 90s, 70s. He's an old school guy,
yeah,
and and so that's really what I try to do. And with baseball, I think it's easy with the internet to just sort of parrot what you hear.
yeah.
And so if one person says baseball is boring, then that just echoes throughout the internet.
Yeah.
And
Completely wrong, by the way.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I just
Misconception.
yeah, and I just want to paint a picture of, like, guys, just watch the game, and you'll know that there's a billion things going on. The guy on second base is trying to steal signs from the catcher.
Yep.
The pitcher has to be careful of where he places his glove. Otherwise, he's going to tell the batter if that's a fast. Like, he could come set here for a fastball. That's why I like to say on my when I'm talking, oh, he comes set at the belt, or he comes
Mm.
set at the chest, because sometimes pitchers, when they set here, it's a fastball. When they set here, it's a curveball, because they're trying to
Mm,
get a grip.
yeah,
Batters pick up on that, and then they'll know what's coming, and
That's
I
why it's so great that you like break that down because people who may not have been like players like don't even know
like
that.
me, like I
Yeah.
didn't know
yeah.
that at
But
all.
like the players know that, but like there's no way for us to know what they're thinking. So it's great to have somebody like you like really break that down and like give us the like inside scoop.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
I think
mental game.
yeah, it is a mental game, and I think what I love about baseball is just that, I say this over and over. It's been around since the 1800s.
Yeah.
There are men who have lived and died who will never even know their names, who knew secrets of the game
Yeah,
that I'll never get to
no,
know.
we'll never
They
know.
died with their
Yeah,
secrets, and I kind of love that continuity throughout history, throughout the centuries of it's the same game. Throw the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball. You
Mm,
know what I mean? And when you look at the minute details like that, and you carry that into your life and professionally, you'll see the details in the way I take notes of the game. In my scorecards. Um, when you look at life in general with that eye for detail, you 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 find things that are really amusing, and
for sure.
it's really fun. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, it
Yeah,
definitely. I think just like the way that this program has kind of opened my eye to so many things, like baseball. I started getting into baseball probably like 2 years for MLB and stuff like that because I want to support my city, Chicago.
Mhm.
Um, and now my where I was raised at, Sacramento, got a team now too. So I think this is the time where I gotta get into baseball. And I kind of was like, man, I'm not gonna watch baseball if it's not my team, and because it's a little boring. But being at the games, even if it's a blowout, like it's just a different feel than you'll get from any other sport. Like you'll be sitting down and it's like a nice breeze or whatever, or like you hear the dugouts just screaming, they're saying "attaboy" or whatever, and that's something you don't get. Like it's silent a lot of like 80% of the time. It's silent for everywhere until the pitch is thrown,
Mhm.
until a runner on base tries to steal.
Mhm.
Like it's silent, it's poetry until a certain moment, and then you get the chaos moments, like say a walkout grand slam's about to happen.
Mhm.
Freddie Freeman, it was like the whole field silent, everyone on the field is silent, and then he hits that, and it's like the whole like world is exploding, and it's like you don't get that in any other sport because basketball, it's always loud. Football, it's always loud, chaotic, like a battle. But baseball, it's like smooth,
Mhm.
and it's just something that I really got from being in this program because I got to be behind the scenes, get to make the graphics. And Brooklyn, I wanted to ask you, what has been such a driving factor for your success as an interviewer? Because and the silent reporting, because I know it's a hard job to do. Because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be down there and asking Coach Stover a bunch of questions and when he's already mad or something like that. How do you take that and how do you try and calm yourself?
Um, I don't even know. Like, whenever I finish the games, I'm like, I don't know how I did that because I'm like a very naturally nervous person and I've always been that way, but I feel like doing this class and like really just putting myself out there has really helped me do that. Like, I don't have a choice. Like, I said I was gonna do it, so I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah.
And like, once I get it over with, I'm like, okay, it wasn't that bad. And it's actually so much fun, like, once you're done with it. And I feel like the, the bigger, like, meaning behind it or like the thing that's like just makes it like bigger than it is I get the chance to like tell somebody's story. And it may be somebody who like this is their last time playing baseball, like this is the last, you know, they're not going to go up or they're not going to play baseball anywhere else. So, like if they have a really good game and they're able to like get an interview, like that's something fun that they get to experience that they may not get anywhere else. So just like that aspect is really fun about it. And then the coaches, like the coach just sometimes his story is like, it adds and like that depth and that aspect that really just adds to the broadcast. So I don't know. I just feel like there's a deeper like meaning behind it and it just adds to it. So yeah, I really love doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and that's a great point that you bring up that it's not just an interview, and of course there's a deeper meaning. It's a human interaction
Yeah.
that just happens to be at a baseball game.
Yeah.
But the surface level is never the full story,
Yeah.
and you do a really good job. Like I really can't say this enough. Like, you do a really good job of using the allotted time that you have because you don't have a lot of time, and the way you're able to extract the information that you do with the efficiency that you do. I mean, it's just you're gonna go really far if this is what you stick with. I have to ask. I mean, again, because it is really impressive how you're able to go about your job. What are the mental preparations that you take part of? I mean, I'm sure for you it starts the night before, like when you know that there's a game.
Um, I don't know. For me, I don't know why, but like when stressful things like will come up, I like act like it's not coming up for like until 10 minutes beforehand, and then I
Yeah.
start to really stress out. I don't know, I've always been that way. Like before graduation for like high school, like it didn't even occur to me until like I'm standing there about to go do it. But for nervous things, I don't know, like I just take a deep breath and like just do it.
Mhm.
That's kind of all I can say because if I overthink, I'm a really bad overthinker.
Mm.
So if I overthink, I get into like this really bad like cycle and it just gets worse. So I just like tell myself like it's not that big of a deal.
Mhm.
It'll be over with and whatever you can do, do.
Mhm.
So yeah, I that's not very good advice, but
No, no, it's great advice because it sounds like, if you know your weaknesses and your tendencies, and
yeah.
maybe your tendencies are, oh, I tend to spiral in some
Yeah.
of my thoughts,
Yeah.
then yeah, then that's your mental strength. That's your fortitude saying, don't spiral,
Hmm.
just do it. And I mean,
Right.
it works for, it's a billion-dollar slogan. So, I mean, I'm sure it'll work for you. What about you, Mace? I know you're a former athlete. I know you're a coach. I
Yeah,
know you're aspiring to go far in the sports world, whether it's broadcasting or coaching
yeah.
or what be it. What are your mental preparations like?
For anything, it's kind of like it's not that serious. Like
Right.
Yeah.
I've told her
That's
this
helped me.
all the time. Every time she's got to do an interview, somebody, it's this is life.
Right.
It's like it's not. That's how I kind of view everything.
Hmm.
And you guys know I'm not that serious of a person. I'm laughing at everything and
Yeah.
I'm smiling at everything. And I feel like if I take life that way, life won't treat me as like I'm taking it too serious. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Because the successes that I've had, the few, the many, doesn't matter. I feel like that's my good karma for treating it as such a positive thing. And with the interview specifically, it's like I'm not writing down questions. I'm making them as it happens.
Hmm.
And certainly I
It's a
definitely
skill.
have to prepare for sure, but I prepare with my knowledge of what I know about the person already.
Mm.
And when I just asked you that question that you thought was so deep or whatever, and I just made that. And we're all just making this on the spot because I think that that's what I'm the best at.
Hmm.
I think I'm better than anyone at making things out the spot because I got the confidence. I got the confidence of everything. And when it comes to coaching and when I played basketball, when I played, I was super, like, I was not this way.
Mm.
I feel like that's what really made me not as good as I could have been because I overthought about everything. I overthought about I was overcoached. And that's why I think I'm such a good coach because I know how to be a good coach. I've seen examples that weren't good. And I've seen so many things like especially with interviews. I've seen bad interviews by professional people who are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars for who work people who work for ESPN who are giving bad interviews, bad questions to some NBA guy, and you're like, that wasn't a question. I think I can
It's my
do it.
biggest fear.
I feel like I can do a better job than them because of how I approach it. And maybe they call me dumb or whatever, or like, oh yeah, you don't know anything. You just started. I think I could really go far, even though this might not be my preference of like being an interview person, but like a journalist, I feel like that's probably where my highest potential is because of how emotionally invested I can get somebody who
Hmm.
I'm hosting a show with.
Mm.
I feel like every time I'm interviewing someone, I'm getting them like leaned up in the chair and like they want to actually converse with me and tell me the answers because it doesn't feel all over the place. Because I feel like when you write down questions you prepare, it's hard to prepare for their answers.
Right.
So if you make it up on the spot, you can prepare for a certain list, but and then you bounce off of it. I feel like that's what how you should go about it because if you're all over the place like that and you ask someone this certain question and then you completely go off the rails and to this one, it kind of takes them out of it a little bit
Mhm.
because they were if they were so emotionally invested into the question that you just asked, I feel like you should build on top of that
Mm.
because people like seeing emotion.
Mhm.
People like just like people watching movies.
Hmm.
People are emotionally invested because you're seeing the emotion. You feel like you're right there and that person relatable.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why I take pride in what in interviewing the way I do because Puff might not even know that I don't prepare as much. He probably does. Everybody should. But I think that's what makes me so special, and I think that's what could be a negative for me in the future too because sometimes I could get a little too much like
Hmm.
on the rails, and people were like, "Oh man, this is just they're just talking about the same thing over and over again." So that's why I'm excited for the next interview I'm doing.
Yeah.
People need to watch that. Basketball players specifically, watch the next interview because I'm asking some really difficult
Some
questions
juicy
that y'all might not want
questions.
to hear.
Some juicy, juicy questions.
Well, you bring up some good points. First of all, again, I want to touch back on your confidence. Again, it feels like no matter what you're doing, confidence never wavers, and
Yeah.
I hope that's a skill that you lock up and you treasure and you crystallize because that alone will get you places. I like the way Poff taught structure because you are right. You
Yeah,
100% right. You can't script everything out word by
yeah,
word, minute by minute.
I learned the hard way.
Yeah, right. Because then all of a sudden the game doesn't go how you expected, or
yeah,
the answer doesn't go how you expected. But I
Yeah.
love the way Puff simplified it. He gives a structure, not a
yeah,
script.
Yeah.
Where he says, ask them. There's three main parts of an interview. There's what were you doing before you got here? What are you doing now? And what are you going to do in the future?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
and that's it. And then you just have to fit your questions into there. And I like how you mentioned that you just have to listen to the answers. That's something Puff mentions a lot too. Is if you're just listening to their answers, then the conversation can go the way that you want it to. Um, there's a saying that I always tell myself is no battle has ever been won according to plan,
Mm,
but no battle has ever been won without a plan.
yeah.
So, you need to have an idea of where you want to end up. And then obviously life is going to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't go according to plan, but
Yeah.
you need to have an idea. You know what I mean? And I like how you bring up the preparation because it just proves that there's no right or wrong way to do things. Um, let's take an example with pitchers in baseball, right? The reason I like to say his mechanics are like this, or he throws at this angle, or whatever, is because everyone throws differently. Everyone's biomechanics are different. There's no right way to throw a baseball, and so it's the same thing with preparation and all that stuff. If you have confidence in your confidence, and that's what carries you, then that's what works for you.
Yeah.
For me, when I was playing baseball in the Philippines, I kind of felt like things were a little too unstructured,
Mm,
and I felt like I had too many bad habits that limited my growth. And when I started coaching here in American Canyon, um, I saw the structure, but I also saw the breathability within the structure that players are given. But for me, I love structure and I love preparation, and I do like preparing to the dot um, because of my experiences, right? But that's not to say one way or the other is
I'm that way with
right.
coaching,
You
by
know?
the way. Like
Yeah.
everything has to be perfect. Like this upcoming tournament that we have, I've like last night I stayed up to like 2 a.m.
Oh,
like
wow.
talking basketball and like thinking about it. And we already have the play set out, but I'm drawing it over and over again to make sure that I know this has to be perfect a certain way. And this is for 9-year-olds and like 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds. And things like that, like that's why I have respect for every each way because I could be so like less prepared
Hmm.
for an interview, but for coaching, like I'm completely different. I have to be like spot on. I have to be perfect because it's like if you're not doing it perfect, you're gonna lose.
Hmm.
And the players won't do perfect, but we can still win.
Hmm.
So if I'm doing my job as like the best I can do, then my players can do it. I feel like that's the same way with life. Like you can prepare all you want, but nothing will be perfect. But you can still succeed. You know what I mean? So that's why you have a structure, like you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Brooklyn, I know I asked you for some advice earlier this year about just like the importance of routines.
Yeah.
and helping keep you grounded when things get a little crazy.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about? I know I've asked you this before, but yeah, it's okay. Go into as much detail as you're willing to share. Well, what are some of the routines that you use to keep yourself steady? Because I feel like a lot has been thrown at you, and you have been thrown in the fire, and I really respect your composure throughout all of it. So what have you done? I feel like
Thank you.
that keeps you, composed.
Oh, for me, it's a lot of trial and error. I don't know. I just always have to have structure in my life in order to like get things done because I'm a very big procrastinator. And so in order to like make sure that I like actually do the things I need to do,
Mhm.
I like to wake up early one and just make sure that I do that every day and get the things done that I need to early in the morning so that way I don't forget about it or just push it off to like at night. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I'll like sleep until like 8, but when I do, I feel unproductive. So that really, really helps me. But I'm not perfect and I really struggle with like procrastination. And I have a lot of things on my plate because I tend to say yes to a lot of things. So sometimes it can get really hard. But definitely just having like positive and like good support around me as well really helps. Just like get the stress off sometimes. My mom is a really good supporter. She really helps me with like routine.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, just like having good people and doing things that are like second nature, like getting up early and doing what I need to do immediately. Really, really helps me like stay on track.
Yeah, yeah, and that's obviously much easier said than done. So
Yeah,
it's uh, it's it's committing to it and then actually executing on it.
right.
I think it's really impressive.
And
Nathan,
it's
for you, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
you're good.
this is my last question. Um, for you, would you do interviews? And I remember your first ever interview was before. I think it was before I did mine. You seem very stoic in every interview you do, and like
Hmm.
very professional. I think you're the most professional person here. Um,
Yes.
and like that's what I really have taken from you. Like, because
Hmm.
I'm going to when I'm maturing even more. I feel like that's how I want to be. Very professional, very stoic and calm. And I just want to ask you, like, how do you yourself prepare for an interview? Because you interview really important people. You can interview really important people, and you will interview really important people. Even if your job is to be a broadcaster anywhere, you will be talking to important people. And if the cameras are on and off, you will be talking the same way. So I wanted to ask you, how do you stay so consistent in that?
Wow, that's a great question. Really making me think here. How do I stay consistent? I think I think the what you've seen right now is a culmination of 25 years. I'm 26 now.
Yeah,
So it was 25 years of, like what you said, Brooklyn, trial and error, where, man, if you met me 10 years ago, or if anyone from high school was watching this, you know what I mean? Shoot, if anyone was watching this from this time last year, um, they'll they'll recognize me
yeah,
for sure. But I made it when I made my career change. It wasn't just a career change. It was leaving behind. It was shedding off skins that I didn't want
yeah,
anymore.
Hmm.
And so I guess the parts that you see, um, and and again, it means a lot to me that you say these things because it just reaffirms that I need to uphold these
yeah,
characteristics. But the parts that you see are the parts that are left, the parts that I've decided are worthy of staying, because I've grown up with a lot of change, and I bounced around the Pacific Ocean multiple times in my life, and I plan to do it again. And and if the environment around me is changing, I can't change with the environment because then that just means Brooklyn. I know you moved a lot too, so I'm sure you can relate to this.
Hmm.
If who you are is dependent on your environment and the people you surround yourself with, then that just means that you have no power, no agency over yourself. But if you make a conscious effort to decide who you want to be, then you're going to be consistent no matter where you are in the world, or no matter who you're talking to,
Yeah.
or no matter what stage you're given. And I think it's just a conscious effort. Here's I guess we can end it with this since that was your last question. Brooklyn, I don't know if
I
you have
have
any
one more
more.
question.
Okay, I'll end it with this, and then we'll go with Brooklyn's question. Um, Somebody asked Michelangelo how he sculpted the marble statue of David. I'm sure you know
Yeah.
which one I'm talking about. And Michelangelo said, "I simply removed the bits of marble that weren't David," and so that's really all you have to do is just find the parts of yourself that you don't like and just be objective about it. Like, there's gonna be a billion things about yourself that you don't like. There's gonna be a billion things that you don't like about other people that you kind of have to affirm with yourself to never become like. But
Mm.
if you chip away at it slowly, eventually you'll find something that you see. And I'm glad that you see something positive because it wasn't always like this.
Yeah.
But what about you, Brooklyn?
Yeah, that was really good advice. I mean, you always have like these really good visuals to like go about it. So yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. Words wisdom. I was just gonna ask, what are your next steps? Like, what is your dreams?
You know, there's ooh, I could go on forever about that.
Just because
I
they're endless. Like that's how many goals you have for yourself.
That's the best though.
Yeah, I think the next step is to well, we're in a sports broadcasting class, so I'll give the relevant dream that I have here. I mean it when I say I want to be the first Filipino to call a Major League World Series. And not for the diversity or whatever. No, it's just I want to prove because I feel like my diaspora, or the Filipino American or Filipino Canadian or just Filipino whatever outside of
Yeah.
the Philippines. I feel like we're I'm very lucky that my parents are supportive of what I do. They've never stopped supporting me.
Hmm.
But I realize that I'm lucky because not every Filipino has parents like that. Some
Yeah.
some Filipinos have parents that have
Push an agenda.
instilled their dreams onto them
Yeah.
since they were young. And if I can call a World Series and I can paint the picture of what the game of baseball is like, then maybe outside of working the World Series, I could paint the picture to other Filipinos of what it's like to work in other professions. Your
Yeah.
non-standard, non-traditional professions where maybe not just Filipinos, but even other minorities, other Asians who feel that sort of pressure to become XYZ, and they don't have the freedom to explore what they want to do. And
Hmm.
that's what I want to do. I want to call World Series because I love baseball, but because it's an excuse for me to tell other kids that you can do whatever you want. Just sit down and ask yourself what do
I
you want
feel
to do.
like that's another thing that I really relate to you by because you are for your people,
Hmm.
and I'm from. I feel like that's kind of like with my cities. Like I really take pride in my cities. I really take, and you guys know this.
Oh yeah.
We got a pope now.
Chicago, you're right.
We
You're
got
right.
a pope now, and I'm not a Catholic or anything, but like that means something to me
We got
because
a.
like things like that like matter. Like because you will be an example for a little Filipino kid to be that guy, to go do something. And that's how I feel like that's what I want to do for my city
Mhm.
because Sacramento doesn't have any representation. You don't know anybody from Sacramento. I don't know nobody from Sacramento. I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy. I want to be someone who's inspirational to somebody. So that's another thing that I relate to you is that you're really for your people and like if people don't respect that, then they're lost. So and I promise you, everyone respects you.
No, thanks,
Yes.
Mason.
Everyone.
Yeah, I have an endless amount of respect for you, Brooklyn. Brooklyn, last question, and then we'll let you guys go. Um, what motivates you every day? What do you want to do after this? Where do you want your life to end up?
Oh yeah. Where I want to end up is definitely obviously like in the pro athletes or athletic sports. I don't really have like a designated, oh, this is I want to work for ESPN, I want to work for whatever, but anywhere in that realm
Mhm.
would be great. I love baseball, I love football, love basketball, so I'm not that picky. But my next step is University of Florida. That's where I'm planning on going. Um, if everything works out. I do have some like backup
Go
schools.
Gators.
But yeah, hopefully with this experience here, I'm able to like, put my foot in the door there and just see where I believe God takes me. Because, I can only control so much. So yeah, that's that's it.
All right. Well, I'm sure whatever you decide on, you're gonna get Mace. Same with you. Again, Mason Flores, Brooklyn Gonzales. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure working with you guys
Yes. You as
this
well.
semester.
You too.
My name's Nathaniel Thomas, and that ends this episode of On Campus.
The exponential growth from the program from my first year to my third year now, that's what keeps me coming back and keeps me excited and just like fulfills me as a person.
It's so impressive, and we every time we walk in here, you guys are doing something different. It's great. It's
Nothing but opportunities here, and we have sports to cover, we have the equipment.
Because the more ambitious you are, the more opportunities you'll have.
on-the-job training is huge.
Get the hands-on experience.
When someone asks who can do it, you can raise your hand and say, I can do it. So
Joining the class was the best decision I ever made.
Stand by, we're going to go to cut one. And cut one.
Cross court to Audrey Jones. Audrey for three. And it's good! With 1.3 seconds left on the game clock. Audrey Jones with one of the biggest shots ever.
the sky's the limit, really, with what we can do here.
College just got affordable. Up to 100% of enrollment fees can be reimbursed for first-time college students taking full-time classes. At Solano Community College, we are taking full advantage of this to further your future. With certificate and degree programs in industrial technology, aeronautics, biotechnology, and many others, Solano Community College is a staple for success. For more information, please contact the Financial Aid Office at 707-864-7000.